Are you ready to see a contentious exchange between two political figures who are considered controversial by many, namely Ann Coulter and Hassan Piker, debating, you guessed it, immigration? I know I am, so let's get right into it. But first, please make sure you like our video, comment, and subscribe to Resist the Mainstream YouTube channel. I'm your host, Darian, and let's check it out.
Immigration, one of the most important issues to both of you. We now have this migrant caravan, which is moving from Latin America through Mexico, expected to come to the U.S. maybe in a month or two. What should be the U.S. policy towards it?
We should invent a time machine, go back and have Trump fulfill his promise to build a wall. This is why his voters wanted a wall, so we don't have to go through this every few months. And if Democrats were smart, the theme of my book, Resistance is Futile, they're doing all the wrong things. The way you'd go after Trump is by saying you haven't fulfilled your promises. What have you done? You've cut taxes. You're going back to the old Republican playbook. I hope he will do it. Maybe if Democrats take the House, which it looks like they will, if they take the House, maybe it'll make him mad and he'll finally fulfill his #1 campaign promise. But to keep going through this every 2 months for the rest of our lives, and he's not going to be president forever, this is why we need a wall. Until then, I mean, sending troops to the border, which he says he's going to do, it sounds tough, but it isn't doing anything. The military, they're all just, handing out here's how you sign up for welfare. They're not stopping them there. That's why we want a wall.
So, Hassan, is building a wall the solution?
No, absolutely not. Also, what difference does it make whether we build a wall or not? These are legal asylum seekers coming in the caravan. It's not like these people are coming to cross the border or jump over the Mexican border. I feel like if they were trying to sneak into the country, they'd probably be doing a better job and not come in such high numbers coming in after escaping violence in their countries. And then on top of that, this notion that Ann is snuck in, they have welfare checks waiting for them at the border is also preposterous. It's proven over and over again that immigrants contribute far more than they take to the U.S. economy. And I think there was 1,436 economists from all different backgrounds that wrote an open letter to Donald Trump advising him that immigration is a net benefit. It's virtually every single economist agrees on this.
Ann?
All right, just a couple of quick things here. I do have to say, Ann Coulter was very much ahead of the curve. Obviously, this is a past clip. It's from back when Trump was in office. And she's mentioning, and she was talking about this way before even this clip with Hassan. But Coulter mentions that illegal immigrants are coming into the country and in many cases claiming welfare after doing it. In other words, taking money paid for by the taxpayer and using it to their own benefit. And Piker says, no, this is a lie. It's not true. They're asylum seekers. Well, anyone practically can become an asylum seeker nowadays. And regarding to the welfare thing, I think this clip aged very well for Ann because you have many confirmed instances of illegal immigrants taking welfare, even publicly. I mean, look at, for example, back in January, it was reported that in the state of Maine, illegal immigrants are literally being given free apartment and housing accommodations paid for by the taxpayer. No, this is not a joke. You can look this up. Even Newsweek, a left-leaning source, had to cover it because they couldn't ignore it anymore. So go ahead and check that out if you're interested. Let's keep watching the video.
None of these are asylum cases, or they'd stop in the first country they get to. The idea of asylum is something like there's a Holocaust, there's a potato famine. No, this is how these people always live, which is why all of different countries want to come to, the biggest welfare state in the world. That is the United States, and get welfare checks. And you got economists to sign a letter. Dumping poor people on America is not making us better. They are far more likely to be receiving welfare, and that's just your average illegal immigrant, and immigrant are way higher to be accepting government assistance than American.
How would they accept government assistance?
Applicants don't have to wait at all. They instantly get given food, housing, everything, but they aren't asylum cases. These aren't people fleeing one corrupt, I'm trying to kill you. Otherwise, they'd get to Mexico and say, home free, I'm in Mexico. No, they want to come to the biggest welfare state in the world.
I mean, the American welfare state might be big in totality as far as our population goes, but it's definitely not as encompassing as plenty of other European nations. But that's besides the point. You mentioned welfare. Can you just...
So yes, Hassan, it is besides the point. Quick little key thing that I think is worth mentioning here. As I love what Ann did with where she just dismissed Hassan's ridiculous, I guess you could call it evidence for his argument, if I think that's being generous about, 517 or however many it was, economists signed a letter and they all agree Donald Trump's a big dummy and a big evil orange man, and immigration is a net benefit no matter what, and you shouldn't care or you're racist. Obviously, that's kind of like what he's getting at there. And Ann just says, oh, yeah, cool. Some economist signed a letter. Exactly. I mean, this goes back to the whole, well, but my experts. And no one takes it seriously anymore. I think especially after certain things went on after a certain date called March 2020 with a certain lockdown for a certain virus that maybe we can't talk about. Point being here, just because an expert says something doesn't make it true. You want another good example that came up later on after Ann dismissed Hassan's claim here? You remember when over 50 former intelligence officials signed a paper and a letter saying that the Hunter Biden laptop is in fact Russian disinformation? Who remembers that? And how CNN reported that and all the other members of the fake news media? Well, those are experts too. So we have expert economists who say illegal immigrants never take welfare, or at least they pay in much more than they take. All these experts who said what they said about a certain pandemic of March 2020. Experts who say this stuff about Trump with the Hunter Biden laptop saying it's Russian disinformation, even though that's a lie and there's no evidence for it. Interesting. Things to keep in mind. Let's keep going.
To me specifically, how undocumented citizens take advantage of our robust welfare state?
They can't walk to Sweden. They can walk to this country.
No, but you're not answering my question.
They can also walk to Mexico, and they're not stopping there.
Okay, but you're not answering my question.
Well, you
if they're
say
coming to the US
asylees are entitled to everything citizens are.
Oh, so now they're
entitled
asylum
to.
seekers because previously you
No,
were
they
using
aren't.
the
They aren't
perspective that they
genuine
aren't
cases.
asylum seekers.
No, I am saying they do not qualify. They should not qualify, but they are classified as asylees, as you say, and that's the whole panoply. In fact, they get more than citizens. They have housing built for
undocumented
them.
citizens as a whole, because you have such strong opinions on this, and look, you've been doing this for longer than I've been alive, so I would love to hear your perspective on exactly how undocumented citizens take advantage of our supposedly robust welfare state.
We know they're massively collecting food stamps, health care. It is 100%
Absolutely
true.
not true. The only thing you can say is maybe they're using health care. Yeah,
okay,
the health care, as far as emergency rooms, approximately is 0.09% of the entire health care budget.
Schools, English as a second language classes. All these schools across America. Oh, sorry, there's going to be no Christmas pageant this year. We had 16 English as a second language classes.
Are you making the assumption that Latin American countries are somehow not Christian and therefore don't want Christmas?
What does this have to do with Christmas? Well, you're not following the argument.
We're going to have to leave it there, but we will have more debate, and we're going to play this song, Why Can't We Be Friends? Because that's probably a good theme as well. A reminder that our show is available as a podcast. Just search for The Issue Is wherever you search for podcasts. And coming up next, the two of them are going to discuss President Trump and whether he bears some responsibility for this week's bombs that were sent to Democrats. Welcome back to The Issue Is. Welcome back to our panel. Ann Coulter, Hassan Piker are both with us. One man now under arrest for these bomb threats that have been targeting liberal activists. Apparently, this Florida resident, Cesar Sayak, faces 5 counts, up to 58 years in prison. Apparently a Trump supporter who did all this. Hassan, do you think the president bears any responsibility for this man's actions?
Absolutely. And it's not just the president who has decried violence and talked specifically about specific acts of violence against counter-protesters, telling them that he will pay for their legal fees, talking about how if he shot someone on Fifth Avenue, that his supporters would still love him, talking about how the Second Amendment people will take care of it, and also specifically targeting not only CNN, but also Maxine Waters, claiming that Maxine Waters better watch out. These sort of statements obviously are impactful, especially when considering the current political climate in this country. So it's not just Donald Trump that's responsible, however, it's also the media apparatus that is not holding Donald Trump accountable.
Ann?
No, I mean, all the things Trump says, when an audience laughs, it's a joke. None of this is inciting language, talking about shooting somebody on Fifth Avenue. Come on, it's a joke. Historically, political violence has come from the left, which is why a lot of people thought it.
Which is why you have the weekends, for example, instead of
anyway. I'm
like
still
a 7-day work week. But
so it's been, back to the Weathermen, Sacco and Vanzetti, the anti-war protests. You had, of course, the attack on Steve Scalise. You have all the anti-globalists. The Seattle protests. It's just historically the Bernadine Dorn and Bill Ayers. This has historically been something that's come from the left.
So what does that have to do with what's going on right now, though? With this specific instance of violence?
This, as I was saying. And there have also been a lot of hate hoaxes. So what was surprising here is, yeah, okay, you got yourselves a Trump supporter. Also, at least half Filipino. So it looks like, a lot. Democrats thought all these immigrants coming in.
Quick little thing here. I think Ann's making great points on the political violence. This video was before the insurrection on the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021. And something I remember many leftists were claiming at the time was that this is an unprecedented attack. It's so outrageous. It's so horrible. Even though no one was killed there except for a unarmed Trump supporter who was a veteran. But you can't talk about that. Sorry, it doesn't fit the narrative. Anyways, speaking of, unprecedented attacks on the Capitol, you ever heard about the 1983 U.S. Senate bombing? Probably not. It was done by a group of far left radicals who literally went and lit off a bomb in the Senate building. If you don't believe me, just look it up. All right, let's keep going.
Political violence is way more prevalent than it is in this country. They thought, they'll always be on our side, like Sacco and Vanzetti. But some of them are going to be Trump supporters. I think we might finally get liberals to oppose the caravan by saying, they don't care about MS-13. They don't care about child molesters, still talking. But tell them there's some Trump supporters in that caravan, and they'll be down on the border with the Minutemen.
Okay,
right.
So you're...
Real quick.
Okay, really quickly. None of what you said has anything to do with this specific instance whatsoever, and it is undeniable that Donald Trump, in some instances jokingly, in some instances very real, has incited violence. You yourself have specifically incited violence by saying, we need more violence from the Trump people. Were you joking when you said that?
I never said that.
That was a tweet. It's literally a tweet that we can look up.
Violence from the Trump people? Well, I'm glad you're studying me. You ought to study me more closely.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there.
Well, guys, that wraps it up for the video. I think we had some nice little spicy back and forth there. I think Ann did a pretty good job holding her own. But let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know how you think Ann did. Let us know how you think Hassan Piker did. And if you have any other future content you want, please tell us down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a great rest of your day.